Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Tuesday, everyone. You guessed it, it's time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So let me talk about what I did first, then we'll talk about what Rafa did, and we'll see what happens from there. So I will come back to that. Let me go in chronological order what I did today. So started the day off on this baby, the 68 Ghia, and pretty much started going through the things that bolt to the long block to turn it into a motor. And so the tin and the heater boxes and all that stuff. So there's a long block right there, by the way. So everything has been, all the tin and that sort of stuff has all been powder coated already and is tucked away neatly in our container. And but the rest of the things that make it a motor, I haven't gone through them yet. So that's kind of what I started today. So blasted the generator tower, went through all these random doodads that go into making a long block into a motor, mounts for the coil, some parts for the air cleaner, oil filler cap, stuff like that. Went ahead and also started going through the carburetor. Found some issues with this carburetor body. One of these tabs up here is cracked, so I got another almost complete one from Brian Roth. It's the same. It's a 30 picked 2, and so between the two of them, I should be able to get a complete carburetor together. And of course, we'll have everything zinc plated and stuff, and it'll look amazing when we're done. But yeah, so spent a while this morning starting to go through those things and get them ready so that I can go ahead and build that up. The other thing is the intake manifold for it, which is not this one. Not surprisingly, the heat riser on it was clogged, and so Brian Roth to the rescue. He had a nice original one that's correct for this car that is unclogged. So I still need to buy a muffler, and then I'll send the muffler and this intake manifold and have those ceramic coated. And so yeah, another piece of the puzzle there for getting this thing together. So that was kind of how I started my morning. Then I turned my attention for a while to this beauty, this Sea Blue 64 one family gem here. And what I did on it is make it safe. And by that, of course, I mean I added seatbelts to it. So front and rear seatbelts now, all attached to their respective mounting locations. And kind of cool is that it did have seatbelts in it before, and they had these original, I don't know what you would call those, like escutcheons or something, these hard plastic deals that kind of go between the seatbelt itself and the tunnel. So yeah, I cleaned those up and reused them. So there's ones on the middle here, and then there's another one that goes between the carpet and the mount here on these. And then likewise, I'd had to pull the back seat out and then mount these back up underneath here. But there we go. Yeah, I think the owners, I think they have some kids, and so they want to be able to put the whole family in here and have fun. And so, yeah, they can do so safely now, at least safe to the extent that riding around in a Volkswagen ever is. They obviously don't have airbags and stuff like that like modern cars, but at least now it's got seatbelts. So did that. And then also today, from our friends at Wolfsburg West, came in the trunk liner. So there's that. And that's just a shadow, by the way. It kind of looks like it's discolored, but that's just a shadow. Anyway, so yeah, that came in, and they already had a nice original wiring cover. It was missing the nuts, so I got those as well. And then, as I mentioned before, I just pretty much had to trim the cover around this is a DC to DC converter. The car is a 6-volt car, and the retro sound radio, of course, is 12 volts. I wish they would just make a 6-volt version of it. I don't know why they don't just do that, because this thing is kind of huge. But anyway, so yeah, I had to install a DC to DC converter to bump 6 volts up to 12 to run the retro sound radio, and then just cut the trunk liner around it. It doesn't look too bad there. I mean, I don't know. it is what it is. If you want a modern radio in a 6-volt car, you're stuck kind of doing something like that. So, and so yeah, guys, I don't know. I think those were kind of the last things. I do need to drive it some more, but other than that, the only other thing is I'm trying to, and I think Eddie Collins over at Eddie and Dave's Garage is able to get me one, is the proper gray shift knob. Wolfsburg West is out of the gray ones for this particular year range here that has the smaller shaft on it. So yeah, hope to get a gray shift knob there. And that's pretty much it, guys. That and some more miles. And then this puppy will be ready to go to its family and start creating new memories. Super excited for these guys. They are going to love this thing, especially with this peppy little motor that we built for it. Let's take a look at it in case anyone is new here. There it is. Old school looking numbers matching 40 horse case with single port heads, 1699 cc's, made, what did it make? 90, 95, 92 horsepower and 115 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. This little thing rips. Sounds amazing with the flat 4 Abarth style exhaust on it, and old school air cleaners from the guys over at, what are those guys called? Cadron guys. Anyway, whatever those guys are called, they make those. So if somebody really wants to know, I can look it up for them. Caddyshack, geez. Okay, so, but yeah, these guys are going to have a lot of fun with this car, guaranteed, because it is a blast to drive. So that was part of my day. And then towards the end of the day, boom, turned my attention to this puppy. So we had the long block previously built. We got the long block, like maybe a week or so ago. Might have been 2 weeks ago, and it's just been kind of sitting there. And in the meantime, I ordered everything to pretty much turn that long block into an engine, mostly from Jason at Air Cooled Vintage Works. So the alternator kit, all the tin, the Sidewinder exhaust. I did get a doghouse style super cooler. I'll show you guys that at some point. And the fuel injection kit itself and the ignition is all coming from AJ at Low Bucket. So yeah, guys, I am just starting to mock everything up. Of course, the tin almost never fits perfectly, especially when you have a motor that has, you know, big intake manifolds of some sort. So these are modified stock dual port manifolds, but the brothers over at Brothers Machine Shop, of course, welded them to add extra material because these heads are ported. They've got big round ports on them. And so, of course, I had to massage the tin quite a bit around the manifolds, which is very normal on anything other than a stock motor. So lots of massaging in there to get those to fit. And then other than that, guys, so this is also the new, I don't remember what they call it, maybe Super Shroud from Impy. And I might even do a separate video on this thing because, guys, I am really impressed with this so far, what I've seen. And I'm not easy to impress. But yeah, just look at the details on this thing, guys. It does have this like intake trumpet on it here, which is, I think 356 motors actually had this. And it's kind of like, you can think of it like the velocity stack on a carburetor. And there's been tons and tons of tests done over the years showing that a carburetor with a velocity stack versus without flows way, way, way more air. And so it's kind of the same thing here. So by adding this inlet on here, in theory at least, and I think they have data to prove it, is that even for a given fan speed, etc., it should be pumping way more air because of this inlet trumpet here, kind of smoothing the airflow in. So that's a cool detail. Another cool detail on it is that it fits. So the old Impy ones fit terribly. I barely had to do anything to this one to get it to fit. And so again, I think I probably will do a review video of this and go into more detail on what I had to do to get it to fit, but super minor compared to the old MP1s, which needed tons and tons and tons of aggravating work to get them to fit. Very little work to get this one to fit. So yeah, other than that, guys, he actually forgot to bring me the breastplate, the one that goes here, which of course will have holes in it for fresh air tubes, but not for heat risers. So I should be getting that a little later this week. I'll test fit it. And I need to cut a hole in here for the sensor for the fuel injection setup. That's for the crank position sensor, which goes about right here and needs an opening in this piece of tin. And I need to remember to stop forgetting to order the air conditioning setup for this, because that of course will be a compressor mounted over here, and at least on the last one I did, needed to block this one off and mount another one over here and stuff like that. So I need to get that in and see what I need to do as far as modifying the tin to accept that. But yeah, the header is on. It's gonna take some finagling, I think, to get it all mated up here. It's probably not as bad as it looks right now because everything is a little bit loose as far as this lining up. But yeah, it's gonna take a little work. Exhausts almost never just go on magically perfectly. Even high quality A1 exhausts sometimes need a little bit of elbow grease to get them on. And this one I think is particularly prone to that because it does have the flanged heater boxes on it and stuff like that, instead of just a header with J tubes on it. So a little bit different here to get this to fit versus like a standard Sidewinder that has built-in J tubes on it. But anyway, we'll get it, not a problem. So yeah, this motor is going to have both heat and air conditioning and fuel injection. So a lot like the double cab that we built last year, except that one had the dual carb setup. This one's just getting the single. And so, yeah, that was kind of the end of my day, is test fitting all this stuff, and still more work to do here, but it's getting pretty close as far as the test fitting is concerned, other than, again, needing to check everything when the air conditioner, compressor, and so on comes in. All right, guys, well, why don't we take a look and see what Mr. Rafa did today. Hold on. All right, guys, here we are. So this was most of Rafa's day. He did a couple other relatively minor things, but pretty much putting the front end of this bus back together here now that he has finished with the wiring. So putting at least, let's see, one kick panel's back in. The other one still needs to go in. And putting the dash tray back in, putting the support for the steering column on there. The other thing he did was, which is one of the reasons the bus came in the first place, was he went ahead and added the Safari. So we seem to be doing a lot of Safari windows around here lately, which you can understand why. Having driven a bus or buses with Safari windows, it's pretty bitchin', guys. I can't lie. You guys know that I'm more of a Type 1 guy, a Beetle guy, than a bus guy, but there is something very special about driving a vintage VW bus with the Safari windows popped open. And so, yeah, that is what else Rafa worked on today, starting to put the seats back in, stuff like that. So I think tomorrow he's going to start in on the brakes on here, which, as I mentioned before, were pretty much a disaster waiting to happen. So I believe tomorrow he will be starting in on those. Couple other little things he did today, finishing up the wiring. I think that the headlight high-low relay that was in the bus when it came was no good, so we replaced that with a good original one that we had in our stash. And let's see what else. I think he also reinstalled the voltage drop for the wiper motor, so it does have a 6-volt wiper motor in it, which makes me think this is actually a 66. I was kind of debating that the other day, and yes, I could look up the VIN number and tell instantly if it was a 66 or 67, but I've been too busy to do that. So anyway, yeah, so voltage drop for the wiper motor, and yeah, kind of buttoning up all the wiring and stuff like that. And yeah, Safari windows, put the squirters in, stuff like that. So that is most of what Rafa did today. He did do one very minor thing on the Ghia, the green one here, is he did go ahead and connect the reservoir to the master cylinder. I put the master cylinder in yesterday, so he went ahead and connected those for me this morning. I couldn't really remember how the routing went, and he kind of looked at it for a while and figured it out, as far as which tube goes where and so on and so forth. So yeah, he went ahead and did that for me while I was working on something else. So yeah, the brakes on here I think are probably ready to bleed if we wanted to go ahead and do that, as far as everything being connected in the brake system. So slowly but surely, guys, chipping away at this puppy, and again working this morning on its motor, which again is right there, starting to get everything ready to turn that long block into a motor, into a complete motor. So guys, I believe that is it for today, other than Renee doing body work on the 67 and Raul helping him out with that all day, and Santiago finishing up the front seats for this Ghia, the leather ones. He was actually out yesterday, so he's in today and back at it on those seats. So guys, that is it for today. Appreciate you all watching, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.